In the summer of 2019, I had the opportunity to visit 15 different amusement parks throughout the country of Japan, riding dozens and dozens of their best roller coasters. And while the country has a lot of great ones and some not so great ones, I want to narrow it down to their very best. Now, as usual, this is 100% my opinion. You are welcome to your own. All I ask is that you respect mine. I have done a full separate review of each of these rides that are available on my channel, so be sure to go check those out if you want in-depth thoughts. So I might breeze through these kind of quickly, but regardless, I believe every ride I'm about to list off is a great roller coaster, and this is the order of how much I liked them. Just barely scratching the top 10 is an Intamin Megalite. This is KAWASEMI, located at TOBU Zoo. And I believe this ride would probably be higher up if we rode it on a day where it was running faster. But as you can see in this footage, it was pretty sluggish. I think it's a fun layout, but my biggest problem with it was the pacing. Otherwise, I think it probably would have scratched the top 5. But regardless, it was still good enough to make my top 10. And next up, we have the TOGO Ultra Twister. These rides are exclusive to Japan. I was able to ride 2 of them in the country, but I saw 3 of them. 1 was not open. The 2 that I rode were at Nagashima Spyland and Greenland. All of the footage you're seeing here is of the one at Greenland, which I rode the most. They feature the same layout, and it's very fun, very smooth, has great inversions, very funky layout. It's a great time. These rides were a huge surprise for me. And the next spot is Thunder Dolphin at Tokyo Dome City. Located right in downtown Tokyo, this ride has buildings surrounding it on all sides, so it's by far the best location of any ride on this list, and features a very strong first half. Second half could use a little work, definitely loses a lot of momentum, but the first half is definitely good enough that it deserves a spot on this list. And the next spot is Steel Dragon 2000, and this is the largest coaster on this list. It's actually the longest coaster in the world, but I will say this ride was by far my least favorite Giga, and I feel eligible to say that because I have done all of the Gigas around the world. It has some fun airtime moments. Of course, the ride time can't beat it, but it's definitely not the smoothest in the world. When it has those B&M trains, just makes for a very odd experience, especially since it is so massive. But a ride that I'm putting just above it is a ride not so massive. This is Big Boom, and the whole reason why this coaster is making this list, I'm putting it above Steel Dragon, is because this ride has an incredible first drop. By far one of the best in the world. You can find this ride at NASU HIGHLAND. This is the most northern ride on this list. And it's a very short layout, only has about 4 different elements, but that first drop is just so good. It makes the ride so worth it. Some crazy ejector airtime. Be sure to ride in the back on this one. Another ride with a great first drop is TAKABISHA. This used to be the world's steepest coaster before a clone of it outdid it by half a degree. It drops you at 121 degrees, total of 7 different inversions, so is by far not a one-trick pony. And it's pretty smooth. You know, a lot of Gerstlauers are known for being kind of rougher rides. This one, definitely not the case. It's a very strong Eurofighter featuring both a lift hill and a launch. Great layout. And just one spot above it, located in the same park, is DO-DODONPA. And you might think that this ride should be a bit higher up, but really the whole reason why it's this high up at all is because that launch is so unbelievable. It's the world's fastest accelerating roller coaster. It is ridiculous how fast it builds up that speed, but unfortunately the rest of the ride is just kind of okay, but that launch is definitely good enough that it deserves to be in the top 5. Taking the number 3 spot is Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. This is probably the craziest B&M ever built. It's not my favorite B&M I've ever ridden, but this layout is so demonic. I could not believe that this ride exists at all. It is unlike any other flying coaster I've ever ridden. There are so many positive G-forces on this ride. It really throws you around. In my opinion, this is the world's greatest flying coaster. Absolutely exceeded expectations. So now we're at our top 2, and both of these rides are in my top 10. I adore both of them very much. It was very hard to choose which one I prefer, but here's how I ordered them. At number 2, we have EEJANAIKA. This is the 3rd coaster located at FUJI-Q HIGHLAND that is on this list, and in my opinion, this is their star attraction. I have never laughed more on a ride in my life than I have on EEJANAIKA. It is everything I wanted X2 to be. Any complaint you could have about that ride at Magic Mountain, EEJANAIKA fixes. It is better than it in every single way. It's smoother, it's taller, it's faster, it has more inversions. The flips in general are better. Location's better. This ride is a beast. I cannot get enough of it. I'd say more than any other ride on this list, I miss this ride the most. And I cannot wait for the day that I go and get back on this thing. But the coaster that I have put at number 1 is HAKUGEI at Nagashima Spa-Land. This is currently the only RMC in Asia, and it is amazing. This is a redo of White Cyclone, and it features the best of what RMC has to offer. It's a long ride, it has some fantastic inversions. The ejector airtime is absolutely ridiculous. I was floored by how good this ride was. I rode it, I believe, 8 times while I was at Nagashima. So that is my ranking of Japan's best roller coasters. Now, of course, there were only 10 spots, so I couldn't include everything. Bandit at Yomirland just barely missed the cut. That probably would have been at the number 11 spot. There's also Hollywood Dream at Universal Studios that didn't make it. Fujiyama, Diavolo, there's a whole bunch of others that I could list off that didn't quite make the cut. But inevitably, I had to narrow it down to what my very favorites were, and this is what I came up with. So I want to hear down in the comments below what you guys think of this. If you've ridden some of these rides, if you agree with how I've ranked them, and of course, if you're new to the channel or haven't watched some of these videos, be sure to go back and watch the individual reviews I did for each of these rides. You'll get to hear a lot more in-depth thoughts about them. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more here at Coaster Studios. I'll see you next time.